A very good afternoon and welcome to PrepMed Pro. And today we are going to continue to our next lecture, and that is of cell of the unit of life, and lecture number 5. We'll start from transport inside the cell. How does the transport between the two cells and occurs in the cells? Okay, so we are gonna start from this lecture. So in our last class, from where we have ended in our last class, yes, probably we have ended from ended up to active transport. Okay, so we'll continue from transport. So now we'll start from osmosis. So transport means how does the water transport occurs inside the cell. Water or every nutrients, how does they move inside the cell. So make us a heading as transport. Okay, make the heading as transport. This is the lecture number 5. So okay, in transport, what do you mean by osmosis? Do you know what do you mean by osmosis? Osmosis is nothing but the movement of the water particles or movement of the solvents from a higher concentration to a lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. So here also no ATP or no energy is required. It's a downhill transport, but the concentration must be from the higher concentration gradient to the lower concentration gradient. That is, if you have 100 ml of concentration gradient to a 220 ml of concentration gradient, then the osmosis will go from 100 ml concentration gradient to 20 ml of concentration gradient, okay, through a semi-permeable membrane. So what does the semi-permeable membrane do here? The semi-permeable membrane simply does a work of filtration. The work of filtration is done by the semi-permeable membrane. The fine particles, those who are permitted by the semi-permeable membrane, comes from this side to that side. Okay, nothing except the permissible limit can pass through the membrane. Okay, so osmosis is, okay, let me draw two cells. See, this one is cell number 1 and this one is cell number 2. This cell number 1 contains so much solutes and this cell number 2 has less solute. So osmosis occurs from cell number 1 to cell number 2. There must be a semi-permeable membrane in between them. Okay, semi-permeable membrane. Okay, this is cell number 2. So let me write it. Osmosis, movement of H2O from higher concentration gradient to lower concentration gradient through a semi-permeable membrane. Okay, semi-permeable membrane, only solvent can pass through. Okay, only the solvent can pass through it. Okay, now the plasma membrane. Let us continue with the plasma membrane. Today is the short lecture. I will not extend the lecture today because the topics are very much concise in NCERT and I will stick to that only. Tomorrow the lecture will be of longer time. Okay, so plasma membrane, the fluid mosaic model. Who has discovered the fluid mosaic model? Fluid mosaic model was discovered in 1972 by two scientists, Singer and Nicholson. By Singer and Nicholson. Okay. Fluid mosaic model. See, here it is said that quasi-fluid like nature or the अगर सोचते हैं ये रेत का डब्बा है और ये पानी का है, ऊपर में अब एक बॉल को रख दो, ये अगर शायद तुम रेत का डब्बे पे रख दो रेत के ऊपर, तो ये रेत के ऊपर बैलेंस करके ही रह जाएगा। अगर ये तुमको पानी के डब्बे पे रखना है, पानी के ऊपर, ये बैलेंस नहीं कर पाएगा, क्योंकि ये जो फ्लूइड है ना, जो फ्लूइड हम बता रहे हैं कि फ्लूइड मोजाइक मॉडल में जो फ्लूइड है, जो फ्लूइड मोजाइक मॉडल में जो फ्लूइड है ना, ये फ्लूइड इज नथिंग बट लिपिड एंड मोजाइक इज नथिंग बट लिपिड एंड प्रोटीन। सो ये जो रेत का डब्बा है ये किसका है? प्रोटीन का है। और ये पानी का जो डब्बा है ये किसका है? ये लिपिड का है। ठीक है, तो ये ठीक नहीं है। ओके, द प्रोटीन मूवमेंट। सो मूवमेंट ऑफ द प्रोटीन, मूवमेंट ऑफ प्रोटीन, लैटरल मूवमेंट देखता है हम लोग, लैटरल मूवमेंट, नो फ्लिप फ्लॉप movement seen. No flip-flop movement is seen. Okay. A lateral movement confirms the fluidity of the membrane. Confirms the fluidity of the membrane. Okay. Protein, no flip-flop. Okay. It is large in size. Okay. Cell-to-cell recognition. What do you mean by the cell-to-cell recognition? Cell-to-cell recognition. How does a cell recognize another cell? It's nothing but see, this is a cell, I have drawn it. And this is another cell. Okay. Now, sugar of glycoprotein and glycolipid recognizes cell to cell in cell to cell membrane, in cell to cell recognition. Okay, the sugar in the glycolipid and glycoprotein actually recognizes the cell. Okay, so what I have drawn here is, this is the peripheral protein. I am writing the markings here. This is the peripheral protein, this one is lipid and this one is protein. Okay, I have drawn it and you just have to see it what I have drawn. Okay, just read one time, first read the NCERT, then go through by my notes. I think you can do all the MCQs, and sometimes you have to use your mind also, because a 100% question cannot come on in the examination, I can only make you study the concepts, because as a doctor, when I will start to teach you physiology, you will get very interesting topics, interesting notes from me. But very less will come in the examination, because those notes are generally from the medical sides. In all India level examination, I have not seen some practical questions comes in the NEET syllabus. See, like a patient is coming to a OPD, a patient is coming to an ER with these symptoms. This type of physiology doesn't come in the NEET examination in the undergraduate level, but in PG you can get this type of questions. Okay. Oh, now the function of the cell membrane. Write the topic as function of the cell membrane. Function of cell membrane. One is cell growth. See, second one is secretion of protein release outside the cell. Release of protein outside the cell. Okay. Third, endocytosis. Fourth, intercellular junction. This will be taught in zoology. And the 5 is cell division. The cell division will be taught in the next chapter. Okay, this cell division, next chapter. Okay. See, now the cell wall. What is the function of the cell wall? The primary function of the cell wall is to give the protection to the cell. The cell wall actually gives protection to the cell. Okay. Cell wall outer to plasma membrane, rigid, it is hard, non-living, permeable, next is bacteria, peptidoglycan, murin, uremic acid, next one is algae, cellulose, algae contains cellulose, galactan, Mannan mineral calcium carbonate, Mannan mineral calcium carbonate. Next comes from plant cellulose, hemicellulose, pectin, protein. Okay. Now plant cell wall. Plant cell wall. So in plant cell wall there are three parts: the primary cell wall, the secondary cell wall, and the plasma membrane. Can be divided into primary cell wall, secondary cell wall, and what? The plasma membrane. Plasma membrane. So you can say as PW plus SW equals to CW. That is, PW is primary cell wall, SW is secondary cell wall, and CW is cell wall. Okay. So now comes to the difference between PW and SW. PW and SW. What is the difference between the PW and SW? It's the outer. PW is outer, thin, young cell, dividing cell, meristematic, adding cellulose, hemicellulose, loosening, it is inner, thick, lignin, discontinuous. Secondary cell wall formed inner to primary cell wall. Okay, so primary wall only, PW primary wall, secondary wall, PW is diminished. Okay, this is the young cell wall. This much, इतना ज़्यादा डीप में आप लोगों का जाना ज़रूरत नहीं है, लेकिन मेरी मजबूरी है कि मैं आपको पूरा ही एक्सप्लेन कर दूं, लेकिन इतना ज़्यादा डेप्थ से क्वेश्चन नहीं आता है, इतना टफ क्वेश्चन नीट पे नहीं आता है। मिडिल लैमेला, इधर से क्वेश्चन आता है। मिडिल लैमेला एक किससे बना होता है? मिडिल लैमेला कैल्शियम पेक्टेट। ओके, ये साइटोप्लाज्म कॉमन लेयर between two neighboring cell, made up of calcium pectate and magnesium pectate. ये मेनली कैल्शियम पेक्टेट से होता है, ठीक है ना। साइटोप्लाज्म ये कैसे बना होता है? प्लाज्मोडेस्माटा कैसे बना होता है? मेड अप ऑफ एंडोप्लाज्मिक रेटिकुलम, connects to cell wall. Okay, so cell wall is rigid and non-living. Cell wall is not a living cell organelle. It's a non-living cell organelle. Okay. Endomembrane system. Cell organelle distinct structure and function. Distinct means different. Endo means inside the cytoplasm. Membrane system ER like Golgi body. Lysosome means vacuole. Non-endomembranous that is work together. Non-endomembranous system works together. NEMS is a short form. Non-endomembranous system is a short form. That is works together. Okay. Now, in non-endomembranous system, it consists of mitochondria, chloroplast, peroxisome, not in coordination. Expansion is the protein. Expansion is a protein that breaks bond between cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin. Okay, so for today we'll keep from up to this. So remember to study all these points, and if you get any doubt, just comment in the comment box. I will teach again on that topic, and I'll give one short YouTube shorts here to explain that videos, and I will name that person who has asked the question, because asking a question means that you are studying. Until and unless you study, you do not have the queries will not be developed in your mind. So what your mind doesn't know, your eyes cannot see. Remember this. Your mind first have to know it, then your eyes can already also see it. Okay, for today I am closing this here. In the next videos I'll continue from the next topics. Okay, thank you. See you tomorrow.